Today we have Erik Lundmark, where we have known each other all of a sudden over 10 years. You believe that?
Wow. Yeah.
Ironically, we never met at AFM. If you remember, I think you had put something out on LinkedIn or Indeed, just a feeler, and that's where I responded a year after I'd been to AFM and shopped around the beginnings of my film. And you are my sales agent, and I have sent some people your way, and anytime I can see a connection, that just brings joy to my life. In the center here, we have Tom. Well, it looks like we have somebody else looking to get in. Marc, I'm going to tell him to come visit us. You guys, Tom, I forgot. Do you know? I think, you know Marc Clebanoff, yes?
Mm-hmm. Any drinks together?
Yes.
Why doesn't that shock me in any way? I have also bribed him for drinks as well. Come to Fame Forum, where the panel was. Okay. It is a bit of a high school where Tom, I know you through, I think initially it was through Ron, but then the bonds have become stronger with Jason. Is that right?
Yeah. It might have been Ron initially and Jason Brubaker. So yeah.
Yes. So Jason's just started his own new gig, or it's still nice and fresh, and you've partnered with him on a business venture within the industry, and you also have your own production company. I'm going with little to no sleep, so I'm trying to write.
Okay, sure. I mean, yes, produced. I started as an actor, written 30 screenplays, option sold and made into movies, 24 of those screenplays. Produced my 16th film this year. That was Lansky with Harvey Keitel, Sam Worthington. I started Glasshouse Distribution about 5 years ago. It's now 7 people in the company. We just opened a TV division last year. And with Jason, yes, I own filmmaking stuff. We're partners on that, which is like the #1 film instruction site on the internet. So yeah, there it is. And I know Marc. Hey, Marc.
You're now joined by Marc.
Hey, Erik.
Team up from our mutual friend MJ Angel. I asked how you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So good to see you, man.
Yeah, you too. Where are you at, Tom?
I'm in New York.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So we got 2 LA, 1 New York, and 1 Northern Virginia, DC happening. Thank you. I didn't put it out there in the very beginning. Thank you for making time today for this. Just a real quick review, Marc. We just did some quick introductions. Good timing. You're on deck. And today's topic is film finance. Wherever that goes, as I said at least 3 times already, we're just going to crack that open and let Pandora's box fly in terms of really anything. Where I just wanted to let it be a free for all. We'll structure it if it requires it, but there's just so much to talk about in that world. Even without everything going on right now, you add that to the mix. And I'm really interested to see, because for any viewers who are neophytes or just really new to, you're in the room with 3 veterans right now who know the down and dirty and So you're not going to get a lot of rainbows and unicorns here. The purpose of having these professionals here is to throw some cold water at you. And I mentioned earlier that all of a sudden I've known Erik for over 10 years now, and he's not shy with saying one thing or the other. Tom, I'm just getting to know you. Marc, you're not a shy person, especially if I put the acronym AFM out there. I've been told you had opinions, but we won't go there. We're going to try. I mean, don't get me wrong. I want to be critical and I want to be honest and dead cold forward. But I'm not. But I definitely don't want this to turn into a bitch session at all, if possible, because we're in a very difficult business, and I want to be able to put stuff out there where people can use it. And I'll get a little Pollyanna, but execute their dreams and their goals. So this is where the business comes in, a show business. And Marc, I'm going to give you the floor to introduce yourself real quick. Let people know who you are and what you're about, please.
Sure. Marc Clebanoff here. I'm LA based. My company's called Odyssey Motion Pictures. I started as an independent production company in 2004. And in 2011, my partner and I started doing our own global sales as well. We got to a point where we'd been burned one too many times, and we figured we'd figure out how to do it ourselves. We figured we couldn't do any worse than other people seem to be doing for us. So it took us about 4 or 5 years, as Erik and Tom know, about building that side of the business. It took about 4 or 5 years to really build that side of the business and build a global network. But ultimately, it made us much savvier producers. We produced a lot of movies. Our comfort zone is usually in the mid to high 6-figure budget range. I'm starting just now to get a little bit bigger than that. But we've been truly independent for as long as we've been doing this. Starting to take a stab at television now. We've done 2 pilots. We're in the process of developing a show for Shudder. And so, TV is a whole different monster. Like we talked about last night, films, there's a very clear path for the most part with making a film. TV's a very different monster. So we're trying to get a handle on that now, but in the trenches like everybody else.
Okay. Not a bad segue, actually. Again, today's topic, or at least our guide, is going to be finance. And this can go in so many different directions. All we need to do is slap a subtitle underneath it saying film finance in the era of COVID, which is, it seems like the wild, wild west.
I'm not going anywhere. I'm just grabbing a coffee because it's 3 hours earlier here. So keep going.
No worries. So with the foundational complexity of financing a film, and I say that hesitantly, knowing a little background on you, Tom, because I've heard both sides, and I'm starting to, the needle's leaning more towards, and again, please correct me if I'm wrong. That's the purpose of this, and not correcting my statements, but just flushing what you guys who are in the trenches see firsthand. Everything from one end where the money's there, you just need to be professional and give them what they want. It's all leverage. For film financiers, it's all about ROI and the amount of risk possible. All the way to the spectrum where there's just nothing out there. It's too risky a business. It's friends, family, and fools to finance things, and it's still a lot of people making mistakes with the credit cards and so on and so forth. So I'm just going to put that out there if you guys want to take a stab at it, and then let's have some fun.
Question. I'm sorry, Fernando. Just going back to the question itself, because I kind of went on there.
Yeah, sorry. So film finance, gosh, you could go some, because you Marc, you brought it up, because there's not just singular finance now. Is there film finance for films? Are you looking at series? The dynamic of, do you write or procure projects that are trilogies? So you what's the trend right now? Getting away from one-off independence, or are you going to have more a better shot at putting a screenplay, an idea out there that looks like it has a run beyond one independent film?
I mean, I'll start real quick. First of all, the bottom line is if you intend to make a career out of it and find longevity in filmmaking, you have to learn the business. You have to learn and figure out and understand how distribution works. Because I think most of us start out with just a creative vision and we're kind of naive and ignorant about the way the business actually functions. And we just figure that if we make something really great, it's going to find its audience and make money. And, you know, maybe 25 years ago, that was more so the case. Now in the digital landscape, it's not like that. You really have to understand the business and do your homework and get a good understanding of how distribution works. There's a lot of moving parts to it. So I'm speaking in very broad terms, but, you know, everybody knows what they want to do. You have to figure out what you have to do as well.
Well, you know, to put a blatant general question out there, where are you going to get the money for this stuff? What's who do you go to? How do you attract them? What leverage do you have? You got this idea. Where does that? Okay, please.
I'll jump in, Fernando. So leverage is you mentioned a great buzzword, and I'll tell you, yes, for so many years that I wrote the book on film financing called Bankroll. I raised over 25 million private equity. I'm not sure I would do the things then that I do today, because like Marc said, it was a different world back then, especially the DVD world. And you could make the $3 million Christian Slater movie, let's just say, and make 5 out of it, you know, and it's, so you have to be, that doesn't exist anymore to that, you know, in that space. I'd say leverage is the key. And by leverage, I mean value, meaning cast or money really, or some type of IP attachment. But I kind of put IP lower than cast and or actual money, meaning a project's coming to us, or let's say I'm starting a project. The first thing I do is develop it, meaning I try to get cast attached to it. You try to get a little bit of money. I mean, not even, 50 grand or so, and then start fishing out there to try to get a sellable name. Then I go to, there's tons of people you can go to. Or if you came to me, Fernando, and you say, I got Matt McConaughey, I'm just spitballing in a film, and I need this Matt. It's like, give me 48 hours, and I'm sure any of these guys, same deal. It's like, there's places that we can go based on that cast attachment. Or if you come and you got 3/4 of the financing, or you got 60% of the financing. So meaning, if the project has value, that should be looking for value attachment. If you're asking who to go to get the financing, to me, it's always improve the project first, and then the financing shows up. Just make it a better and better package.
Development, something that I think that's exactly what Tom's talking. Most often completely disregarded, especially with independent films. Development meaning everything up to the green light, building the package and giving it value that's going to drive it's going to drive an investment. On the micro budget world, you still need to do development, but you aren't necessarily going to throw money at it. But Tom's exactly right. Like, I'm in the process, and have been for a couple of years, of producing my first really big theatrical, like mid 7-figure budget film. And we've spent 6 figures developing this film before we can even get to the point of, potentially getting this movie made. And that's what it takes. And there's ways to incentivize that. Incentivize is another, I think, good buzzword. There's ways to incentivize people investing in the development of a project versus investing in the project itself.
Yeah. Can you peel the layers and define, like, a specific, if not more specific example? What does development mean? Does it mean getting a name, letters of intent? Like, what are some of those buzzwords? Or again, for veteran and newbie alike, the state of where we are right now in November 2020, development.
Well, for example, even things just as simple as hiring a line producer or a producer to break down your script properly, and actually go out and attend markets and do some due diligence with sales agents and distributors and get some real world estimates based on what you're proposing. There's a lot of things that go into putting a package together, not just, necessarily depositing an actor for a letter of intent or commitment or anything like that. But, getting a line producer to break down your project properly, that in itself could be $5,000 to $10,000.
Yeah, again, from ground zero, where do we find these line producers? We just look on IMDb of films that are within our range? Is it that simple, or is it, is there a secret sauce?
I'll jump in real quick, and then maybe Eric. I'll just because Eric hasn't had his shot yet, but just real quick, I'll just say that partnering is also a quick way to move things forward. You know what I mean? Besides the three guys on here or anybody else, if you came to them with a project or any other producer, potentially they have. I mean, I have a Rolodex of line. I can give you 7 line producers right now, but it's like the key, I would say, is putting those aspects together. I hate to pitch my shit on here, but on my filmmaking stuff website, I have an entire development module. And the only reason I'm really bringing it up, obviously, if somebody sees it, great, want to purchase the development thing. But literally, I go down every single step that I've identified, which is retaining a cast director, getting a line producer to the budget schedule day out of days, getting the LLC paperwork, retaining a lawyer, fees for the writer. Maybe you got to option a script, But again, these guys will say the same thing. That's the best way to get the bigger movies going. Yes, on the micro budgets, sometimes you could just jump in and go push it forward. But to do the bigger projects, you need this. And I'll just say one quick story is that my friend Sean, I had asked that he produced Get Out and Black Klansman. And I said, how'd you get those movies going? And he's like, Get Out, we had about $100,000. And he said Black Klansman, maybe 120. And so for me, my movie's developing around 30 to 50,000. But amazing to me that even on those monster movies, $15-20 million, they were using the same techniques. They were, they weren't raising. So I don't think 100,000 is a huge ass mountain to climb, in my opinion. You know what I mean? To make a $15-20 million movie. So the development money is not like Marc said, 6 figures. Yeah, that's probably all you'll ever spend on that. And there's ways to get that back, but you can develop a film at 25 grand, and get a bigger film from there. But again, I don't know.
Anyway, I'll share some thoughts too, because I know what you mean, Fernando. Everybody wants to know, where do you go to get these resources? And we all know, we kind of forget that this is a business of connections and who do you know and so on. So yeah, you develop relationships, and then if you don't know someone, you just ask your bubble of people, say, hey, I need a good line producer. Do you know anyone? I mean, it's really as simple as that. You just have to network, because there is not a traditional path for this business. It's all whatever you can, however you make it work, it will work for you. But I think the bottom line is, you have to start with the people you know and ask them if you don't know a line producer or an investor or someone who might know someone, and so on. That's one part. But the other part about the financing, I'll just share some reflections over the years we've been doing that, because we are bombarded with projects that come to us. They're finished, or sometimes they're in development, but most of them are finished. And they're mostly micro budget. Sometimes we're lucky and get a film in the low millions. And they have done this film, and of course they usually overspend, and they just think it's gonna work because, like Marc said, oh, we have such a wonderful film and it should be successful because look at that and that and that film that was successful. And I look at it almost like 2 categories. Either you do one of those films to put yourself on the map, and it's a career builder and so on and so forth. And the goal with those films is later on to be hired by a bigger company that can pay you for what you're hopefully good at, right? It's one of those door openers, and you might not make that money back, but it's an investment in your own career. Now you've done that a couple of times, right? Now you're ready to do a film or a series as a real business venture. Yes, there's always a creative part and the fun of it and all that, the creative magic, but it also has to work as a business. And as a business, it's supply and demand. You can't just make stuff and think it magically is going to be a bestseller or whatever. You have to partner up with some kind of distribution, and we in turn have to partner up with an exhibition platform. So all these different parts have to say, this looks like something we're interested in. So even before you make the project, you have to know that there's demand and interest for it all the way down to the actually where it's going to be exhibited. Because at the very, very, very end, the only way this is going to work is if the consumer will open the wallet and rent or buy the movie. And that's where the buck stops. If they don't do that, then you don't have a business.
how much of that is, would you say is universal over time? Those are the fundamentals as, because, Marc, you mentioned, was that 15, 16 years ago when you started? And Tom, you also mentioned 5, 6 years ago. Yeah, you get where I'm going.
I've been producing for 18, 15, 16, whatever.
Okay, okay. Point being,
it's only 5 years old. The distribution.
That was it.
Yeah. Since
so here we are, late 2020, about to go into 2021, and then you throw the harsh curveball with the pandemic. Does that, to be honest with you, on my end, I've been kind of coming on the good end of things going on. It's given me opportunities. I don't want to, because I know people are suffering, but right here, right now, and you can forecast too in 2021, 2022, are the same fundamentals you all are talking about, are they still in place? Kind of.
I'll say this, thank God these guys also probably know, it's like, thank God we have sales and distribution. As far as my productions this year, to kind of stop, and we pushed everything. Like, I have a film that might have just got financed the other day, and I say might have, even though the person said, yes, I'm in. I don't count anything until there actual is a wire in the account. But, even still, like, if say somebody gave me money today, I bet, great, let's shoot like April. Like, I wouldn't be doing something this year. That's just me. But our business on sales and distribution for me rose because we acquired a lot more. We started a couple different labels for smaller films and then one for horror movies. And VOD has increased. There's no question that VOD, has gone up, and there's more platforms. And so for us, that made a lot, that kept us going, and it was a growth year for that. But productions, again, I still would, if you were asking me where and when to shoot a film, I would say push it as far as you can safely push it, and stay out of LA. I don't think I'd shoot a movie in LA right now, to be honest with you, just because of, I don't want somebody shut me down halfway through, or, SAG shutting me down or whatever, anything like that. I would shoot it in upstate New York or somewhere, where nobody's going to come after me. And that's, that's the tips that I would give. I mean, you have to reflect it just like anything else, starting a business of a restaurant or something like that, just taking it into account and saying it might be best to wait a little bit. That's just my opinion, though. They may have a completely different opinion.
I have a slightly different take, because I've actually been shooting a handful of things throughout the pandemic, but all very contained stuff for the most part. I agree with Tom. I wouldn't shoot now. I wouldn't have shot in LA prior to COVID. I've done it. It's the least film friendly place on the planet. So, and I'm not saying that to try to be funny. It's true. And I can give you 10 reasons why. But that aside, I'm just looking to, the adjustment and the strategy is now go places where I'm going to have obstacles. So my partner is based in Eastern Europe. He shoots a lot of movies there. He fell in love with a girl there. He stayed there. But we're very tapped into the infrastructure in Romania and Bulgaria. And we've done several films there. And there's far fewer challenges doing films over there than there is here. Not to mention you get a lot of bang for the buck. I'm supposed to start a film just after the holidays, and we're shooting it on a filmmaker's ranch up in the Pacific Northwest. This guy owns 5 acres. He's turned it into a functioning film ranch, and the whole thing's contained there. So, it's, yes, going outside of the major metropolitan cities is definitely going to help you. You just have to be smarter about where you shoot and what you shoot. If you think you're going to go shoot some big, like crowd scene in a stadium, that's not happening now. But, what I'm seeing, interestingly, not only with scripts, but even with finished films, I don't know how people turn them out so fast, is pandemic related movies and things that kind of are complemented by the current circumstances. So you guys have probably seen stuff like that too. But I've read a handful of scripts that are all kind of influenced by the pandemic, not just thematically, but logistically. And I've literally seen trailers for 2 pandemic movies already that have been shot during the pandemic.
Of completed films or
completed films. Yeah. People are making micro budget films. They're very intimate, very minimal cast, crew, and locations. And actually, from an indie standpoint, I can tell you right now, it works to our benefit. And here's the reason why. We're putting an action movie together that we're going to start in late January that ordinarily probably would have cost us a lot more. We're doing it for less money because we use COVID basically as an excuse to keep the project very minimal in terms of crew mostly. So whereas like hiring a big actor, we have a pretty big actor driving this project, you know, normally I think that actor would be reluctant to come on something that looks kind of micro budget. But in this sense, we're like, we have to keep our crew super tight. We have to keep things as small and intimate as possible. And everybody's like, yeah, COVID, it is what it is. And that's actually working to our benefit. And then obviously our movie is complemented by that too, you know, but we have seasoned producers, we have a seasoned director, but we're able to do something for far less money, still with relatively well-known cast, and COVID's working to our advantage in that regard.
Okay, I mean, yeah, that seems like a perfect fingerprint match as far as keeping a small crew. That everything lends itself to that with the cover. It seems like everything.
That's the other thing. Most actors live beyond their means. Most of them have to work very consistently, and the fact that they haven't been working, everybody's on sale right now. Everybody wants to work.
100%. Yeah, true.
You have a lot more leverage, especially half of the agents in Hollywood got laid off in the last 6 months. Like there's seriously, like the big agencies all are like 50% of what they were.
I mean, is that like an exaggerated number or like literally?
No, I'm not exaggerating. One of my producing partners is married to a very senior agent at WME. Half their labor force is gone. Same with CAA, same with all of them. My point in saying this is like agents are really terrified about, in fact, just to digress for a second, a lot of them were given the choice, basically, like if you want to stay, you're taking a massive pay cut. So even the ones that stayed around are not making anywhere the kind of money they were, and they're all nervous about staying employed. They're all jumping through hoops to try to keep their talent busy. So trust me, agents and managers that I know literally have been calling me like, what do you got brewing? Because I need to put people to work.
So it almost sounds like there's a fire sale on talent out there.
Yeah, fire sale might be a little bit of a hyperbole, but it's true.
Yeah.
Like everybody, not everybody, you're not going to get Nicolas Cage to do your $100,000 movie, but like nothing's unattainable right now.
The medium level stars are completely attainable. Yeah, they're dying, especially good scripts. Let's just say that. Yeah, good projects, they're dying to work.
Yeah, 9 out of 10 of these actors, most of them live beyond their means. Most of them cannot afford the lifestyle, and COVID kicked them right in the you-know-what.
Okay. How about from like the buyer side of thing? You get with the cover of finance. What's the buyer's situation? Real estate. What's their perspective right now? Are they laying low, or are they searching for any bit of content, or everything shut down? So they have nowhere to go.
For content, I'll say that on all the virtual meetings we've had, they want more content, except if they're like a theatrical company, like, Philippines or something like that, will get on the Zoom and they're like, yeah, man, theaters are screwed. Like if they're a theatrical company, they're screwed. But if they're VOD platforms, they're acquiring more. We're making more deals in that sense. But funny enough, Marc mentioning the nut kick, I'd say the nut kick had been going on since like the early 2000s when, indie stars, I did a movie, well, I won't say the name, the actress, but, got $500,000 for an indie. That now that actress would be valued at about 10,000, 20,000. You can get that person for that movie. And that was the salaries, those back in the day. And now, you just have to give them something that's good, and I'm not saying that little crew that we all know very well of I'll say those names, like the Tom Sizemores and, the Eric Roberts of the world. You know what I mean? You still want to stay away from those guys. But I would say the other ones that are like the mid-tiered ones, that are TV names or something like that had a show and maybe they don't have a show anymore. Like those are great people to get, and you can get them at a good price. And you're not killing them. You're not giving them $100 a day, but you're giving them something that will get them working, and they're excited about that usually.
You know what's good about COVID, and this is it's a weird way to start it.
Just the way you stated.
Well, this is more toward distribution than finance necessarily, but the big problem we're having right now is that the budgets don't match up with what the movie's worth ultimately. Most movies don't make money. But what COVID is actually doing that's positive is it's expediting the digital market to expand more rapidly across the world. here in the US, we have tunnel vision. We think because we've had VOD forever and, we have TV and DVD in theaters, whatever. Most other parts of the world, they're kind of specific to one type of distribution. In India, it's mostly theatrical. Philippines, like Tom was saying. Other places, it's more TV driven. The digital market is either in its infancy or doesn't exist in a lot of places in the world. So COVID is going to help expedite that. Like Tubi, now that Fox bought it, is moving into Latin America, UK, France, Japan. That's all good for us because that means we're going to have an easier time selling smaller movies in those territories, and they have the potential to make more money. So there is a silver lining to this, I think. And most of us aren't making big theatrical movies anyway, so sucks for those guys.
Well, that's true. I mean, we see the VOD market exploding just over the summer and then early fall here. I can't even remember how many new platforms we've signed up with that we do business with. And actually, most of them are willing to pay MGs or even small license fees because they have just gotten an infusion of cash from somewhere. They have investment money and they realize, well, we do have to pay for this and this and this, and they should also pay for content. So, I mean, it's not huge money, but it all adds up and everyone is happy to get something on the table up front, right? So, yeah, there's been an explosion of new VOD platforms, definitely.
You used to do, the old economy was you made more off of less, 1 or 2, 3 sales, you made a big money. Now it's like 40 platforms. Did you all know that? It's like, that's why I say to new filmmakers, especially if they got a small film, and we'll just release those. We won't sell them as much as, because we're not going to get big MGs. But I say to them, maybe this platform you're going to make $300, but we have 30 of those platforms, you know what I mean? Like, and so a month, and so like that's, and that's how it is. So you make little bumps. I call it mini cash registers. Get little, get 50 mini cash registers going, and now you have something.
Yeah. And I share another reflection that I try to tell filmmakers we meet all the time, and they're, there's still all these rumors floating around. Oh, you make most of your money from foreign sales, and that's the buzzword they keep hearing, foreign sales. And I try to tell them that the actual sales, just a straight sale of these micro-budget movies, we have just seen that basically tank. If there's no fame factor at all in your project, there's very little demand for them. Let's just take Europe as an example, right? Because it's a very affluent market, a lot of rich countries there, and they could afford to pay decent money for films that have some kind of demand for them. But, when we go back there and visit family and friends, I always ask, where do you see new movies outside theaters? Like what channels, what parts do you see new films? And it's always the same 3. Everyone says the same thing, no matter where we are and what country. They say Netflix, Amazon, and HBO. So I'm thinking about that because, as we all know, the home entertainment segment has changed, right? It used to be the VHS and DVD chain stores and your little corner store and so on. Those are gone, and those 3 major platforms have now become the home entertainment segment. If you can't get your films out there, which is virtually impossible, then you're not part of that business model. And if we look at it from the other perspective, let's say I'm talking to a buyer in Germany and we're discussing, well, I have a film here, and it says, well, I don't know what to do with it. It doesn't have much value. Well, I say it's really, really good. Okay, fine, it's good, but a lot of films are good. So from his perspective, if he can't get a TV sale or a Netflix sale or a HBO sale in his territory, the film has no business. He can release it and wait for trickle revenue for 10 years, but we all want that money on the table, and it's very, very, very risky from that side because that home entertainment sector is just gone. He used to be able to recoup a lot of that MG from just selling it to the VHS, DVD chain stores, et cetera, et cetera. So that's why it's much, much tougher to get these straight foreign sales because their end of the business is much riskier too because they can't just resell it on their end as easy as they used to. So anyway, it's just something I try to help these new filmmakers understand, that those foreign sales are just not really there like they used to.
And I'll just say, too, that Germany, Spain, Italy, they want dubs. France wants dubs. It's like, I'm not going to drop that money to dub the movie and so a lot of times that precludes it as well. It's like just like
it's a big investment. I mean, they spend just for a little horror movie, they spend at least 8,000 euros dubbing that movie.
The Germans spend about half that.
I would say just one language, that's probably 8,000. They didn't do more than one language for 8,000. That'd be a great deal. But you're saying probably just one, like just a German.
Yeah. Minimum of 8,000 euros for a little horror movie.
Yeah.
So that's a big investment. And then if you can't sell it to someone else right away, you're going to have to wait 10 years to maybe recoup that. That's not a business. That's just like fantasy,
Wow. Well, great stuff.
But however, on the positive side, though, go back to this VOD platform, something we all deal with is that the dependence on that foreign buyer or, the local distributor in Germany is diminished because all platforms by default are global. We just check and uncheck territories with a little checkbox in our dashboard. So yes, we can release the film in every country that they're available, that they're operating. The problem is always marketing. How do you market in these local territories to drive the sales, right? But we can release it. So if we can't get the sale in Germany, we can still release the film. They're starting to become more friendly towards subtitles in their native language. We don't have to dub so much anymore, but it's just starting. It's not really super common yet, but we have seen more and more. We worked with some French platforms, and they say, "Oh, we'll take French subtitles." And
YouTube's changing that around the world, because most people in the US, they don't want to watch a foreign film because they don't want to read subtitles. But whenever you watch YouTube or things on your phone, you're watching subtitles. So people are subconsciously adapting to it more.
Yeah, and the Japanese anime, the Korean soaps, all those have subtitles.
Like all of a sudden, people watch foreign content on Netflix all the time. Like 5 years ago, there was a small fraction of Americans who would even consider watching a subtitle piece of content.
Right.
Not to put dampers on anything, but like you said, yes, we just did a deal with a French platform, but they're not paying. You know what I mean? Like that's a rev share deal if they're going to use subtitles. Now, I'm not saying across the board. Sometimes you can, but it's just that they're not paying. Let's say they're not going to pay what they would have paid if it was dubbed. Maybe that'll change, because like I said, he's right. My kids first off, they watch everything on their iPhone, not on the big screen TVs. But my son watches anime all the time and it's subtitled. So one time I said, I got this movie, it's subtitled, and he goes, I don't care. I mean, like that to him is a normal thing because he watches Japanese anime.
There is a culture shift. I know I'm talking to a savvy, they got the finger on the kids in the trending market. You want to add more SaaS to this is just pure advertising. You could be selling soap or, I don't know, sheep hats, whatever. Put the text underneath of whatever the narrator or the VO, or, if it's a person on, in front of the camera, put the text underneath and it sells more. They've done the metrics and they've done the studies on it. So it's a different culture. Yeah. So I totally buy into what you're saying. But it's just, again, where we are right now. Is it a matter of things can change in a month, a week, or, I understand it's hard to prognosticate, but do you sense that there is a more bullish attitude in different quadrants of the industry? Still leaning into film finance a little bit, but, I talked about buyers and sellers and, great job, spreading out into, talking about territories and everything.
I mean, sorry to cut you off. When it comes to finance, first of all, almost every region on the planet right now offers some kind of an incentive. Now, if you're playing on a really micro budget level, you're not going to spend enough to really exploit that. But, if you're spending 6 or 7 figures, you have to plan it around a region that offers you an incentive, because that is a way to go to an investor and say, I can guarantee you X% of this investment back. It's securitized. That's something that, a lot of people talk about now. And I've exploited tax credits and rebates in 3 or 4 states now, and it's like free money. So anybody who's not, the only reason to not go somewhere that offers an incentive is because you have some kind of soft money situation or resources for free or whatever that's gonna ultimately drive more value. But incentives are something everybody should build their finance structure around. The idea is that you want to minimize the amount of equity, meaning actual cash that you need to raise. The less cash you have to raise and actually risk, the better. Because, you know, most people, unless it's a very small amount of money, they're going to be hard pressed to go out and raise significant sums of money entirely in cash.
Okay. Would you all agree with that?
Yeah, and we all have our seeing Eastern Europe. I do upstate New York a lot. I've done 5 films, and I'll just say because I have family there, but you know, 35% tax credit, no permit, no union. I could go up to a park.
I think you get like 40% if you do your post there too, right?
Yeah, there's a post. Yeah, I haven't done that as much yet, but the non-union, non-permit is amazing. Like, they're never, one, you're never gonna have Teamsters showing up, and 2, the cops could show up and be like, "Hey, you guys cool?" Like, that's it. I mean, so that to me was always an incentive. But like you said, it's a soft money thing. Maybe you have a studio, maybe you have a ranch, like you said, you know. And Eric, I don't know, you were saying Europe, you have Europe connections. You just have some kind of incentive that makes it, that offsets the actual cash in the bank, you know?
Yeah, we're going up to Washington, which, you know, has, you know, a very insignificant incentive. And frankly, we wouldn't be spending enough to really get much back, but we're saving so much money by shooting on the director's ranch. It's like, yes, let's go. Because originally I wanted to shoot something in Romania because we get 35% back, and, you know, you get union caliber crew guys for $100 a day, and everything's practical. You can do something that looks very big for very little. And we got talked into going to Washington because we saved so much money.
And how'd you find out about these places? I mean, you can look it up and you can find out tax credits, but in terms of finding, because I didn't know that about New York.
There are actual location expos. Like, I went to a location, but you see them at AFM. Well, when there was an actual AFM, you know, but you'll see an actual, like the Montreal, like, has a booth there. Quebec, I've seen, you know, in different states.
Right, yeah.
That was free for me to go, and I think it was free for everybody because it was all these locations trying to talk you into coming and shoot there. You know, they want you to shoot there. You know.
Yeah, it's huge economic development for them.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I've been to those location expos too, and every state is there, and you can talk to everyone, and they all want to pitch and sell their territory. So it's super easy.
Okay, well, that's kind of new to me. I mean, I've been like AFM and other events, but so to inform our people, you know, what's an example of an expo? Is there, obviously with COVID, but what's the annual event? Is it, you know, every
well,
year?
I'm here in LA at the convention center.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
They have local ones all the time. Like, I went to one in, you know, one of the hotels here in LA last year. Like, they're all over the place.
Yep, locationexpo.com. I'm looking it up right now. It's all the ones that are upcoming. Like, yeah, and again, you states and countries and regions, they're all there, you know. And
I'll tell you something else. You can cold call almost any film commission in the country, and most of them are super happy to get on the phone and talk to you and educate you about what they're offering.
100%. I just did a YouTube video on working with your film commissioners, meaning, like, if you live in Cleveland or something like that, there's no reason why you shouldn't make friends with the film commissioner, and they'll be happy. I mean, that's state funded to give you the ideas and sometimes help you with locations. Like, we've had film commissioners help us with hotel rates and stuff like that. Like, that stuff is, you'd be stupid not to take that, you know, into consideration if you're a filmmaker in Ohio or, you know, wherever. I don't know, just not in, you know, LA. But, you know, like, those places always have film commissions that'll help you.
Yeah, I did a little research. I went to the Cleveland International Film Festival, and it's, you know, it's got a rip. I think Drew Carey, you know, Cleveland Rock. I was astonished. I mean, they have well over 110,000 people. It's just, I just didn't, Ohio maybe, but just Cleveland. I didn't see it as a huge film market club, and we couldn't even get in to watch any of the screenings. We managed to get in on a waiting list, but just the sheer mass of humanity, you know, in a kind of a crappy mall that had a nice theater and a casino on the other end. It was a little strange, but yeah, that's something like I'm ignorant about as far as expos were. I've been to AFM, like I said, you can do your due diligence and you get the packets where it's 5% here, 20%, like here in Maryland. Yeah, they have pretty good incentives, but then you dip into the rules where most of the productions have to be at least $500,000 spend. But then you go down to West Virginia, they'll have all kinds of cool benefits. They'll give you a river that they can turn on and off, and but you know, you have to have 16 employees, you know, from, you know.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, there's state incentives, but then there's like regional incentives too. Like the city of San Francisco just the city of San Francisco offers an amazing incentive, whereas most of California doesn't. I met a filmmaker from Virginia who he's trying to put this movie together because he's a Virginia resident and he's the director of the film. There's some kind of regional incentive. He's getting 50% back.
Oh, I need to, because I'm friends with the commissioner.
That's why we were going to Canada. They were, then they were getting federal incentives and regional incentives, so it's like that 50% back was a doable thing.
Yeah.
There's other factors, because I'll say, like Marc's talking about Washington, if I would say going up there, my only fear would be crew base, like I've done those where you're in a town where if the sound guy quits, that's the only sound guy,
Right. No, we're in a completely confined private property situation with a very seasoned director who's.
But what about your key crew?
Puts it all together. We're flying in a handful of them, and then everybody, then there's a handful that are going to be local. But we're talking like it's probably going to be a 15-person crew.
Yeah. So that's great. Yeah, no, you have to factor all those other things in there, and getting started there too.
Yeah. We'll probably have more stuntmen than crew members.
That's cool.
And what about gear and equipment? Is that something? Any kind of
most of it's already there.
Okay, so no rentals or shipping stuff up.
I mean, there's always some rentals and shipping stuff, but the big, the camera packages, the G&E equipment, the dollies and stuff, it's already all there.
Most places have.
That's a very unique situation because this director has built this facility, so that's like I said, it's kind of bespoke, but it's heaven sent because otherwise I was going to go to Romania to make this movie.
Wow, I can't even speak to that. Because part of my job, what I like to do is I bring gentlemen and people, not just young men, but like yourself, you're in there, you're in the trenches, you've got the scars and the scratches, and you've got success behind you. To the ones who like to have the passion and the talent, they just don't get the business side of things. They just they don't understand again, it's become a cliche, but don't understand the business side of show business.
Well,
and
we my heart. Trial and error, though. I didn't know shit about the business when I started. I just thought I could make a good movie and I'd be on my way.
I say to people like, man, if you're a filmmaker or even an actor or whatever, and you never went to a film market, you don't know about what's going on. You know what I mean? Like you can walk, you think your horror movie is the best thing ever and it's going to be the only one. Then you walk into AFM and you see 20 of the same movie on the posters on the wall. And it's like, that's an education right there, man. It's like,
that's one of the biggest challenges with selling other people's movies is most producers have tunnel vision. They don't realize all they think about is their movie and what they went through and what they want out of it. But they have no idea how much they're competing with for those same slots.
Yeah, absolutely.
Going to a film market and there's one, well, now, especially now, they're even more accessible and because they're inexpensive and they're virtual. I mean, AFM cost me $600. Normally it cost me $25,000. So it's, now more than ever, you don't really have an excuse, Tom said it exactly right. Whether you're an actor, right, whatever you are, you should, be proactive and educate yourself at least minimally about the realities of the business.
Okay. I mean, because speaking to just due diligence, how important would you say it is, again, leaning, trying to keep it on track here as far as financing films, how important is it to go to these events, whether they're markets, any kind of networking like this or...
hang on a second. It's all tied. I know it sounds like we're digressing by talking about distribution. It's all tied in together because you are going to be a more effective fundraiser by understanding how the business functions.
Yeah, sure. And having relationships. I give filmmakers all the time LOIs. I don't give crap giving an LOI saying distribution LOI. I said try to get financing off of this. Meaning saying doesn't tie you to us, but if you want, we're selling the film when it's finished, and it's like you can get. So meaning that one thing about going to markets and getting an LOI from any of these guys is value, because it's not going to just be on the shelf. It's going to have sales and distribution at the end, and you can raise money off of that. So it is all tied together,
And for the newbies, LOI is letter of intent. I'm trying to look out for everybody. Erik.
I'll share another thing with you. It might be helpful because it ties in or affects with all this. I was on a panel on another film festival a few years ago, and there was a guy there showing his film. It was micro budget, well made. He had one name in it and so on. And he said, it came out so good because I did all the research and I really did my due diligence on how to make the best movie possible. And we got the name and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But then, of course, he didn't know anything about distribution, and he didn't get distribution. Then he got ripped off or whatever. I mean, that was just a disaster. So, when I was on stage, we were talking about this whole thing about the film business being more than just making a film. It's the whole enchilada, right? The whole train. And I said, well, the reason why you failed is because you didn't do your homework on the business side of making a film and selling the film. All you cared about was making a film. If you had spent as much time doing your homework on how to sell a film, how to distribute the film, you would have been successful, but you just ignore that. So there you go, you failed.
Even somebody that's slanted the other way, I would say a badly, or at least a semi-badly executed film where you're executing the other side, the sales and distribution, will be more successful than all your tips in making a great movie, but have no idea what to do after. I'm going to go to Sundance with it, or whatever your plan is in your head. Like,
right.
Yeah.
And that's every.
So it's really part of the big. If you want to be successful of making and selling, you need to look at it as one thing. It's the big picture.
Yeah, if you're not building it as a business, your chances of being successful at it, regardless of what you make, are automatically diminished. It's like opening a restaurant. You can say, "Oh, I want to open a restaurant because I like food," but that doesn't mean that you can do it and know who you're going to sell to and what you're going to make and whatever. It's no different. You have to have a business plan, a finance plan, a distribution plan, and you have to be able to sell it to an investor as a viable business, not as a dream.
Exactly. And I was just going to add to that. It's funny you said that right at the end, is that so many filmmakers kind of attach themselves to the lottery tickets that are the stories. They're the only ones that get publicized. Blair Witch, Paranormal Activity, the only ones. It's like for every Blair Witch, there's 1,000 movies that didn't make anything. And so they love the lottery tickets.
Yeah, but those movies, the only reason they were successful is because they had a studio doing the distribution.
Yes, yeah, they had artisan, but you're right. But again, you'll hear about somebody that put their movie on Amazon and made $1 million somehow or whatever. Something happened. Same with book publishing, and it's like those are the lottery tickets. Those aren't that common.
The lightning in a bottle. Of all the movies I've produced and sold over the years, I've had one that has been lightning in a bottle. I've had some that have done well, others that haven't, but I've only had one that's gone bananas.
That's great.
And it literally was just lightning in a bottle.
It's just timing and
luck.
Yeah,
exactly. My producing partner of almost 15 years, Lewis, he was one of the stars of the Big Fat Greek Wedding movies. That movie sat on the shelf for 3 years collecting dust. Everybody said it was unreleasable. They didn't have big enough cast. It was too culturally specific. Took the right producer with the right strategy at the right time to release that movie. And it became what it became. But literally that movie was written off for years before it was ever even released. And it became one of the highest grossing independent films of all time.
And, but that's the key, is that you only hear those stories. You hear Slumdog Millionaire, you hear Big Fat Wedding, and it's that would be like me saying, what's your plan to be a multimillionaire? It's like, well, I'm just going to keep playing the lottery every day. And then one day I'm going to hit. That's not a plan. You know what I mean? The plan should be.
Yeah. And a distribution plan is not, I'm going to Sundance to sell the film. That's not a distribution plan.
I mean, you all heard it. Like, they're like, well, we're going to go to Sundance and sell it. It's like, oh, geez, no, you're not. But
even if you get into Sundance, which is a small microcosm, there's still a small microcosm of those that actually do legitimate business at the festival. So it's just, you gotta do your due diligence about the realities of how the business functions is what it comes down to.
Yeah, I try not to get a little jaded because I think everybody in this forum knows the actual odds and numbers that are associated with Sundance. I mean, it dwindles down to 5, 10, 15%.
And we're not trying to deflate anybody, but like guys like us, we're always accessible. Because for us, if somebody's putting a film together and it has the potential to be a good film, we want to be in the mix. We want to have potentially the first crack at selling it. So guys like us are always accessible.
How early do they talk to you guys? When do they, like, before they hit that first keystroke on, even an idea? At what point do they go, okay, I got something here. I need to get the business end of show business. I need to talk to an agent. I need to talk to somebody who can get me that line producer, that casting agent. that talent, that name. At what point do you execute? Is it day 1, day 4?
Wait, I don't understand the question.
Oh, okay. So you have an idea for a movie. When do we bring people like yourselves who are well networked at this time to bring in all the different resources? When do we partner up with somebody who's going to be more seasoned and who's going to help us out?
Oh, I see what you're saying. I mean, look, if you have a shootable script and, there's a director and there's at least a plan of attack, I think that needs to be there at least.
Mm-hmm.
There's got to be at least a skeleton of a plan of what you actually intend to go out and make. But ultimately, guys like us, we're not going to tell you necessarily exactly what to do, but we're going to help you refine what you're doing. Mm-hmm. More often than not, I get people come to me and they throw out a budget and I'm like, where did that budget come from? Well, I don't know. Did you break down the script? No. Did you have a line producer break it? No. So it's like pie in the sky numbers.
Yep.
Or they bring a budget that's like, I don't understand how this script equates to this budget. Oh, well, I had, this line producer who's used to doing studio movies. It's like, well, that's the problem. You need a more independently minded person to do a more reasonable approach to this. So again, guys like us will help refine what you're trying to accomplish and point you in the right direction.
But the disconnect there is that, like, how can I say this? I don't have time to just hear ideas from everybody and then go, all right, let me help you. That's the disconnect, unfortunately. Meaning, like, you should be talking to guys like us, but just because of an idea, you may not get that audience. I know I used to years ago do film consulting. I don't do it anymore. I know some producer friends that do it, meaning almost like they're, look, you never want to pay a consultant $50,000 or anything like that. But if they have an hourly rate of a couple $100, almost like an entertainment attorney, there are good consultants out there. I know a couple that do it somebody will email me and I'll go talk to this person because truly the truth is you should have somebody like us on from day one to go, no, you need to do this, this, and this. And this is the way to move forward. But it's like that I'm not going to do that for free. I'm not going to do that at all. I'll just say, but the bottom line is there are other people that do it that are producers. So partnering would be smart, or hiring a consultant, because you have to be willing to invest some value in there. If you're just starting from an idea, you can always just get free time from everybody. I got to be honest.
Yeah, I do a similar thing that Tom does. I had so many people asking me for help, but of course nobody has a budget to pay a consulting producer. So a colleague of mine and we created online courses for producers as like a cost-efficient way to be like, here's everything I know. We'll get, and actually the biggest value out of doing that is like, yeah, we sell these courses, but like the biggest value out of doing that is I've had a lot of filmmakers who have taken these courses come to me and brought me some really good content. And I've actually attached myself to sell a couple of them. And one of them, I'm even debating getting involved as a producer. So, and look, we're not going to be shy if somebody's coming to us prematurely. We're not going to be shy to be like, hey, go away, do more work, and then come back.
Yeah. Shaolin style. I love it. Because all too often I hear it echoed in what you guys are saying on my side, seeing a lot of new people, film festival with director side, but also when I used to teach film, it was the Paranormal Activity, was the Blair Witch. Well, these guys did it with $13,000. So what? There's 6,000 indies made every year, just round about 5,000-6,000. You multiply that. How old is Blair Witch or Paranormal? You're talking 13, 20-year-old movies. You do the math. It's a lottery.
Even Jason Blum, for every big hit movie that he makes, he's made 15 or 20 that didn't do much at all. He plays the numbers too. That's Blumhouse's business model. It always has been. They make a lot more movies than actually really show up on your radar.
Yeah, I mean, well, 4 years ago, Eduardo Sanchez was like one of our first like legend festival winners, and now he didn't discover it, but he refined, and now he's known as the found footage guy. And but again, like you guys said, that was lightning in a bottle. You can't use that as a model, opposed to following what guys like you say, people like you say, and there is a pathway to it. It's rough, but I just feel that it's the creative-minded people. They go for that pie in the sky, and this is it's one in a zillion shot, and I can do it because I've got the greatest idea in the world.
It's like saying I want to be a singer, so I'm going to win American Idol. That's their instead of taking path to be, the traditional path there. Oh, I'm just gonna win American Idol. And yes, there are winners of American Idol, but how many people audition for that show? That's not a viable.
Yeah, but also like most working savvy producers, they don't get tunnel vision about one project. That's another thing another misfire I see a lot with independent filmmakers. They get so obsessed with one thing, and it's not a one size fits all business. Each investor is different, each distributor is different. It's like, we do sales. If I sit down and I have one film and I'm sitting down with all these buyers from all over the world and I'm pitching the same thing, only a small fraction of those buyers are going to take an interest in what I have. Same thing with developing and producing and getting funding for projects. Diversify, have multiple things at different levels. And so whoever you're sitting in front of, you might have something that's appealing. You have to be flexible and ready to pivot depending on who you're sitting in front of.
Yeah. And the last thing I'll say with those people coming out of the blue is that if you come to me with value, like meaning it's like, yeah, hey man, I got $500,000 attached to this $1 million picture. Okay, then you're going to get an audience, that's value. So these guys came to me with $1 million picture and had 2 marketable stars. One, I didn't even know who he was, but I guess I'm a little older now. And I looked and he was a huge star on the CW show, 19 million followers, blah, blah, blah. And I go, okay, the second you came to me with that, it's like, bam, I reached out. I had that movie half financed in like 24 hours by a huge company. So it's like that, meaning if you came with value, which value comes from development, that we were all saying before, then we're talking.
What comes back to leverage? Back to that term, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Hey, and also film financing, it's a great tax write-off.
Yeah, I used to just pitch that all the time. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Okay. Again, I'm just shooting. I'm looking out for the little guy. Where would you start? Where would I've got a great idea. I have a script written out. What's my next first step to start developing? Do I need to find that line producer? Or do you need to find I forgot the term all of a sudden, the person who can look over the script to both give it legitimacy and validity, or at the same time who understands how EP works and then put it through the spreadsheets and come up with a legitimate budget that makes you look legitimate and take it seriously?
Well, like we said before, you network. There are long-term goals and short-term goals, and you have to start with the next step and the next step and the next step. If you try to leapfrog till the end where the script is perfect and all that, you might never get there. And even if you don't know all these people, you start by asking your friends and colleagues and try to expand your network organically a little bit at a time. And when you're really, really new and starting out, it's going to take you a longer time, of course, but you will get there eventually. We all have to do that. That's the natural, the progression of things. And if you don't know what your next step is, again, ask people you trust or someone who has done something in your film community. I mean, you got to be part of some kind of like-minded social clique, right? And say, what should I do next? You think the script is good enough to show, blah, blah, blah. I mean, breaking down the script, to me, that comes much, much later. First, we got to make sure that your project has legs and has some commercial interest, and we can feel like, hey, this actually might do some business. So you can talk to a co-producer, production company, distributor, or maybe one that does both or whatever, and we can help you develop that idea and start to reach out to some and cast ideas, et cetera, et cetera. But once you feel you're all ready and the script is locked, then sure, you break it down, you do a real budget and all that kind of. But that comes at the end when you're ready to go into production. So
okay.
And great script. So many people don't even focus, like they're coming with crappy scripts to begin with. So it's like you can't make.
Yeah, script is key because there's something else we think about a lot. Because we're all competing with the 6 big streaming services, right? And they have money galore. There's no end to their money. So, and they can make anything look amazing. How do you compete with that? What can we do? We can't really compete with how things look because it's too expensive. What we can compete with is script, cast, directing, and originality. Because you can't just throw money at it and it's instantly better, right? So you really have to think about script, cast, directing. That's how we can compete.
Yeah. And let me just say, jump in and just say, unfortunately, I have to leave, gentlemen. It's been awesome talking to you. Tomorrow, if I'm back, if you want me back on Fernando tomorrow, I'm much more free. I have a birthday party and everything going on today.
Okay, 1 o'clock Eastern time. Please do. If you have to jump off. I noticed we have some people out there. This is a new format for everyone. If someone has a question, hit the little. I'm guessing the little icon with the hearing problem there. I see one hand going up. What happens is I'm going to bring you on stage and you can ask your question. This is Cora, I think. Cora, are you there?
Camera.
Oh, here we go.
Here she goes.
Can I join without my camera?
Oh, please.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So if, let's say we have a feature film that's in post-production. So it's fully shot, done, being put together. Is that too late to come to you?
Absolutely not. It's the perfect time.
Fine.
Okay, great. I have a feature film in post-production I would like to talk to you about. That was my question, was if it was too late. Sorry.
Is there really a too early, too late? Let's make it a little broader. Is it when's too late and when's too early, or do the two exist?
Too late would be somebody finishes their film and lets it float around for a year and a half because they're waiting for the dream scenario that's never going to come. There was a movie that got put in front of me 2 AFMs ago. Good movie, good cast. Sorry, I got a gardener outside and a dog growling. So, good movie, good cast. And the producer just had completely unrealistic expectations. Now, a year and a half has gone by. They still haven't released the movie. As far as distributors are concerned, that movie's old. So that movie is destined to probably never see the light of day, which is unfortunate. So that's too late. Too early? There is no too early.
Mm-hmm. I kind of set that one up a little bit. I knew that one. But again.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with Mark. Too late is when the movie gets old and you realize you have overspent. You have spent too much making it and you realize you're never going to get it back because you didn't do your homework. You didn't understand the market, what is reasonable to spend on a project and where does it fit in, who wants this and what are they willing to pay for it.
That's exactly what happened with this other film. They spent too much money. So when they saw the estimates, the projections on the movie, and they realized they weren't going to cover their nut, they decided they were going to hold out until they found that. Well, that doesn't exist. So now over a year has gone by, and they're still running around, trying to find that dream scenario, and it's not going to happen. And look, your movie is most valuable in the first 24 months. So once that window elapses, your movie is only, it's like driving a new car off the lot. It's only depreciating.
Wow.
24 months since we shot it or since it's finished?
Since it enters the market as a finished product.
Yeah, the IMDb year is very critical. So if you're going to do a lot of festivals, the first public festival, the IMDb year is locked in. So that's when the time bomb starts ticking and you don't want to drag your feet and do 2 years of festivals and then think you can change that year on IMDb because you can't, and then the film is 2 years old, and then
that's a very good point. A lot of filmmakers, they put their film on IMDb. I had a film a few years ago. It didn't get released till mid 2018, but it was on IMDb as 2016 because that's when they shot it. And I had a tough time, just buyers, especially overseas, they live, breathe, and die by IMDb, and a lot of buyers won't touch anything more than 2 years old. So you want to, if you're making your movie in 2021, you want to put like 2022 or 2023 on IMDb to give it that nice window.
Pro tip, definitely.
Yeah, or you don't have to put a year at all. You still say it's in post-production.
Yeah.
But just remember, the first festival is being publicly screened at, that year is going to get locked in on IMDb, and then, the fish starts to stink.
So if it's on there as in like right now it is up, but it's listed as post-production. It's not.
That's fine.
Yeah, that's fine. Look, your movie's in post. It's going to enter the marketplace in 2021. So IMDb, it should be represented as a 2021 film, and that still gives you a good 2 full market cycles to do whatever business you need to do. Not to say that business won't be done beyond a 2-year period. It's just going to be less and less. The majority of the business is going to be done in the first 2 years.
Yeah, it won't be called a new film. It's going to be considered a catalog film, and it usually gets bundled in with a bunch of other package deals. But a new film is only 2 years.
Okay. And you were talking about like having like an obscene budget or whatever, would like $300,000, $200,000 be considered a really high budget for an indie film?
No.
I'd
say it's on the high end of the lower budget films. That's enough of a budget that, you can still make a good looking film, maybe some cast. We see films that are made for 20 to 50 grand, and then we see films that are made for $1 million or $2 million.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, that mid 6-figure range, because I play a lot in that budget range. The majority of my career has been in that like 200 to 500 range. You can make good films for that money. Good,
Okay.
Very distributable films.
Okay, good. Yeah, that's our range. Our biggest name actor had a small part in The Walk.
What's the genre?
It's a drama, an optimistic drama.
An optimistic drama. It's first time
Yeah,
I've
so-
heard that.
That's the genre.
As
That's
opposed
what
to
we
a
need right
pessimistic drama.
So it has a happy ending. It's not one of those like drama films where like you're like, oh my god, if you just picked up your phone and talked to that person 2 hours ago, this movie would have ended in 5 minutes. It's like an actual story, and then when it's over, there's like a resolution and it's a happy ending.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
It's foreign
very,
language.
Very good. I'm sure all 3 of us would be happy to take a look at it when you're ready to show it.
Yeah.
What would tell me if I need to shut up? I know there's other people in the room.
That's all right.
No.
What
Are
what point would like what would I give? Like right now we have like the outline and the synopsis, and we have production stills, and we have the script, and we shot fairly close to what was written. What would we wait until we had a rough cut to show you, or do we like at what point?
Ideally, at least a cut. It doesn't have to be a finished cut. We're used to watching unfinished films pretty regularly.
Okay.
At least a cut, and I would put together a trailer as well. I always appreciate when somebody has a trailer. Most indie filmmakers don't have a clue how to cut trailers. Go on YouTube, find trailers from big movies that are similar thematically or whatever to yours, and try to emulate that. Do like a 90 to 100 second trailer max. I get trailers all the time that are like 2.5 to 3.5 minutes, and I want to put a gun in my mouth. So
that's too long. But a trailer also could be, you can do a specific sales trailer for companies like us, where you do almost a Reader's Digest version of the movie. It doesn't have to be whiz bang, I want to see the film. That's an audience trailer. But it can also be a trailer for us where we understand the movie very quickly. So a synopsis where we understand the story quickly, and a trailer where we understand your film quickly, that you only release to people like us.
Okay.
That's helpful.
yeah, because the distributor is going to recut a marketing trailer anyway at some point.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm a bit of a post file guy. I love post. So does that, with what you're talking about, does that include like color correction, sound design, or is it enough registered in your mind? You're savvy enough to know, okay, they're going to fix that. That can be fixed.
Oh no. That's icing on the cake. We just want to understand what the film is about, so we can gauge, what's the value of this film and where does it fit in and so on.
Yeah, story. We want to get a sense of what it looks like, if it's shot well, acted well.
Locations we have, it's all that. That's production value. Because when I look at trailers, because we get so many submissions, and even on the trailer, I just do a technical breakdown. I count locations, look at costumes, props, maybe the special effects, and so on. All these technical things that is production value, I look at that and get a sense of what the film's value is before I even try to understand the story and the performances from the cast and all that. You really just got to break down the technical aspects to see what kind of film is this.
Does that help, Cora? You still there? She might have stepped out. We are right at the 2:30 mark.
Yeah, no, you're not.
What was that?
Oh, sorry, my internet cut out, and I just talked over you. I didn't mean to do that. I'm really
No,
sorry.
no. I was just asking if that answered your question in general, hopefully. And again, obviously, I know all these guys. We invited them to come by, and it's.
Yeah, I think so.
You have access to.
Mainly like.
Sorry. He's barking at the gardener.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was going to say we're just right over the 2:30 mark. This goes till 3:00. So Erik or Larry, I see you there. If you have any specific or even any question at all in general, this would be the time to ask because these guys are going to be around, but not dedicated to their laptops and computers. I see you raising your hand. No dumb questions, really, no dumb questions at all. But be ready for no dumb answers at the same time. They're gonna throw it at you. And Larry, I'm bringing you on stage. Are you? Give it a couple seconds to register you, hopefully.
I have to click a bunch of allow buttons.
There you go. We got you.
Hello.
Hey guys, no, just thank you. It's been, I've only been doing this for 8 years, but it's been a ride. And you can see some of the stuff I've made behind me. And then my Saving Robin Williams is up for tonight, so we'll see how that does. But I tell you, just if you only learn one thing when you go to an event, it was worth it. I did not know about giving a date. So I've got to go back on IMDb and put question marks in all my productions. So thank you. This is pretty much just a thank you. Because, unless you're in the business, if you're not in, you're out. And I'm so far out, I'm in a different solar system. So thank you so much for that piece of information. That's it. I would just
good.
Thank you.
Yeah, our pleasure.
Glad it helped.
What's your documentary?
It's about Robin Williams. Susan Williams read the script. She did the film, and now
I saw it actually on the screening night.
Saving Robin Williams.
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah, he was amazing. The guy who played Robin Williams.
Roger Kabler. Yeah.
Oh, it's a narrative, not a doc?
Well, every single piece of dialogue is Robin Williams' own true quotes.
Oh, it is. Oh, okay.
And you got the life rights?
Yep. Yes, I certainly had to pay for that entertainment attorney. But yeah, because that's why Susan Williams read the script first.
Who's that? That's his wife?
Yeah, his third wife. Yeah.
Got it.
Real quick, Marc, everybody here I think has access. Go back to the map in the VOD theater. Was that Monday night it screened?
Yeah.
Go to Monday night. You can it'll be up through we have VOD through the rest of the festival, which ends like Sunday midnight or something like that. But you've got access to it, Marc. Might give it a look. The performance is incredible.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely.
All right, that's it. Thank you.
Bye.
Take care.
All right.
Stay safe. I gave up on the stay sane part. All right.
So you guys used to getting thank yous and on stage.
Yeah,
Again, I don't know how to get you off of the stage here,
Okay.
Larry, but so you're stuck here. I don't know. Cora got off. Well, she's not here anymore. Or no, there she is. There she is. Oh, you're still on stage, Cora. Somehow. Okay. All new.
Why
okay.
Can you take me off stage?
I know I can mute you. I can expand it so you take up the full stage, but I don't. Let me see. Let me try a button here.
I can just mute myself. Oh, doggy. Sorry.
I can take it off. I see the same button that brought you on. I think I can. Okay, but you're still in the crowd, in the audience. I still just your hands are still up. Icons are still up. So if you want to come back on stage or have a question, just shoot a chat message. Oh, okay, Larry, you knocked yours off. Erik, okay, well I'm gonna bring you back, or I'll bring Erik up on here. This is Erik from last night, Marc.
Oh, okay.
And he's back.
Yeah, so I had a question because I shot a movie in 2018, but it actually finally started to get picked up at festivals around late 2019 and this year as well. So I actually put the completed sign in 2020 for this year. So, but again, I wanted to know how can we reach you to send you a trailer or our film or anything that we would need to. Yeah, how can we reach you?
I'm happy to share my email, or Fernando can give my email.
If it's
Sure.
if it's cool, I can facilitate that if it's all right with both of you. I know Will. I want to make sure it's cool. Yeah, and also
Okay, great.
Yeah, I mean, we're here to meet you and people
Yeah.
like you. That's why we're here. So absolutely.
Yeah, no, because I've been. I mean, this is you were talking about budgets. I mean, we shot that movie in a basement with absolutely zero money. It's like it's not even micro budget. It's like we're like at the bottom of micro budget, and it's like I'm not even sure that we could actually sell that in the U.S. necessarily. But it was a project made out of fashion. We got lucky. We won a couple of awards at the Urban Action Film Showcase, which was like really a great validation for us because we didn't even think that our project would ever get finished.
Look,
So that's
if the movie's good, if it's enjoyable and it's technically sound, there's places to put it.
Okay, because that is the apprehension for me. It's like I don't even know if it's sellable. Like I don't know. That's why I would need professional eyes to tell me, okay, here's what's missing. Like I know what's wrong with my movie. It's the first movie, of course, so there's a lot of wrong things. But and we had no money, whatever. But that's what I would need today is like professional eyes to tell me maybe there's a market for it, even if it's a small one. I would love to
I mean,
learn.
a lot of times with the real small movies, like I see movies sometimes that are well done movies, but like, you know, I go back to the filmmaker and I'm like, your sound design is going to need some work because, you know, there's something called a QC that in order to get your film on these platforms, there's a quality control where everything has to be done at a certain caliber on a technical level. So a lot of times with the real micro budget stuff, you know, you have to go back and fix some things. But like I said, if it's technically sound and it's a watchable movie, there are platforms to put it on where it can generate revenue.
All right, well, that's great to hear. And I wanted to, because I have a screenplay that's nominated at this festival, and again, my idea was to shoot inside a movie theater, to shoot a whole movie inside a movie theater. That was pre-pandemic. I didn't know that.
You should be able to find that location pretty cheap now.
Yeah, I know.
Really?
It's funny, the show that you saw last night, you know, we shot a lot of it in a strip club, and we shot it in December, and I had to go to Northern Nevada just to find the strip club that would let us do it for the budget we had. Now I could shoot in any strip club I wanted because they're all closed. So that's a bird in the hand for you.
Yeah. So that's my question. Like, because I had a budget, which was, because again, I'm very new at the movie professional business game, but we had a budget that was around 700,000. So, and that was pre-pandemic. We didn't even know that the world was going to end. So now, knowing that the pandemic has happened, where do you think this budget that was at 700 would probably be at more realistically for me to approach an investor and to say, here's an indie movie that I would like to star in which there are other parts where you could put well-known stars. Like how should I bring down this budget for it to not be scary to an investor?
Well, first of all, I don't think either Erik or I could answer that specifically without really knowing what the movie is, but something you have to take into consideration is COVID actually has increased budgets more so than reduced budgets.
Oh, okay.
Because like I have a colleague who just did a TV movie in Louisiana, and he added 20% to his budget because you have to have a COVID compliance officer and testing, and people have to quarantine, and so there's a lot of additional costs associated as a result of COVID.
The timeline expands because you can shoot fewer hours, and this operation, so it takes longer time.
Okay.
Yeah, but look, I have no doubt you're like a brilliant actor and whatnot, but if you're spending $700,000 on a movie, you should not be the leading actor in the movie.
Exactly.
Like,
I agree.
You should get, if you're literally going to spend $700,000, you need to find an actor that drives box office value and give yourself a really great supporting role.
Exactly.
That's the reality of it.
No, definitely. That's why in terms of,
if you're going to do it for $200,000, yeah, maybe you can star in it and pepper in a couple.
Exactly. All right. So that's okay. So that's what I wanted to know. Like, if I was to walk towards an investor and say, okay, I want to shoot the name of the screenplay is Andre's Gang. I want to shoot Andre's Gang for $200,000. I want to star in it. Is that something that is understandable for an investor?
That
$200,000?
No, I mean, how are you going to get his $200,000 back? Like, what's your business plan? What's your approach? What's your distribution plan? These are all things that you need to do a lot more development work.
Exactly. Okay.
So, and there's, again, I don't want to be like obnoxious here or anything, but like,
no, go ahead, man.
Myself and Tom Malloy and like guys like that, like we offer online resources for people like you who want to gain access to that type of knowledge without spending a lot of money or driving yourself nuts. Exactly. So there's, but you gotta put a real business plan together. You can't just be like, I got this script, it's great, I'm gonna be in it, I need $200,000. Because if I was the investor, whether I knew about the movie business or not, I'd be like, okay, how are you getting my money back?
Yeah.
If you can't answer that question in an articulate and intelligible and realistic way.
Yeah. But honestly, because the screenplay has 2 leads that are female, and my idea was to get 2 known stars.
Okay.
Yeah. And and there's a great supporting role. That would be a great supporting role for me, but there's 2 female leads that would lead in the story. And so that would be the idea. So again, but again, it's I'm you said there was no stupid questions, so I'm asking.
That's fine. I'm trying to figure out a concise way to answer your question.
Yeah.
Because again, I've never read it. I don't intend to read it, at least not at this point in time. So it's put a one sheet together of what your plan is with a synopsis and a log line and what your vision is. A one sheet that somebody like myself or Erik or Tom could look at and be like, okay, I get what he's trying to do, but here's how I can refine this and point him in the right direction.
Absolutely.
I think you're back at that spot where we're talking about. If you're really brand new to the movie industry, you need to start with networking with the people and ask for feedback and help and so on, and slowly grow your network of people with more experience yourself. It's going to take you. It's not going to happen tonight, but you there in the beginning. It's a slow growth.
All right. Okay. Great. So it's good to hear.
Keep in mind, most independent filmmakers who get their movie made usually don't do it for the budget they intended. Almost every movie I've ever made, I've made for less money than I set out to make it for. But you adapt and you figure out, and you're like, okay, this is what is real in terms of the money I can put together. How can I make this work?
I'll share a story with you, Erik. One of our most actually financially successful films that we co-produced, it was shot, not the whole thing, but it was shot for $25,000.
Wow.
And it's been still successful, still making money every month.
That's awesome.
I had the one movie I mentioned earlier that I said was my one thing that was lightning in a bottle. I picked up this movie a couple of years ago and got it released. $75,000 movie. This movie paid my bills for a year and a half. It's still making money, and we just produced a sequel to it that we're about to release.
This is fantastic.
It's possible. I got other movies that were made for 7 figures that will never make their money.
Okay, well, that's good to hear. All right, no, because honestly, that's why I shot my feature in a basement. I mean, because lack of money, but we needed to be resourceful, and so yeah. Well, definitely. But thank you for answering the questions, guys. That's awesome.
Good luck with the script, with the
Thank you.
awards. When is the award thing? Is that tonight or tomorrow?
Yes, tonight, I think.
Tonight at 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock.
Yep.
Oh, so a couple hours, huh?
Well, our time,
Yeah.
4 hours and change.
All right.
4 hours and change. Yeah,
Well,
make sure.
if it's your time 4 hours and change, then it's 4 hours and change for us too.
Well,
What's heavier, a pound of feathers or a pound of gold?
hold on, wait, a pound of feather. Yeah, well, you got 7 hours, so that's there's a difference. Let's see, where we have, well, we just clicked. We have 13 minutes. Is there anything, any closing salvos you want to throw out there, or any last questions before we cut out? We will be back tomorrow, same time, 1 p.m. Eastern time. These guys will be periodically in the Phill Market building if they can get in. We're still working out technical issues with that. But hopefully people here have learned stuff. This is like the first salvo. This wasn't marketed harshly. It was just getting it built. For example, as far as that's not how you want to build your business or your start your film. But film festival is number one, getting proper foundation for this whole new world. And you mentioned yesterday, Marc. Who knows? Again, NovaFest is every April, pushed it to November, so I really don't get a break. I'll give myself a little bit for Turkey and maybe Christmas, but all of a sudden it's NovaFest in 4 months. And also,
I'm impressed with this whole setup. I mean, I hope it's not the norm for festivals, but even if we go back to normal festivals, I think this format is still going to stay and be very relevant ongoing. I think just, the big festivals will probably continue to do what they've always done. And I think a lot of the smaller festivals will end up living this way and doing well.
It gets a little, you get into the weeds a little bit with, for example, just getting submissions with, because I mentioned I'm adding 3 new festivals next year, then another 5 in 2022. But Film Freeway, the main avenue for people to put in submissions, they have totally narrowed the pathway where even though I've got over 7 years and 4 festivals under my belt and all legitimate, they were willing to list it, but not publicly. And that takes away a lot of business, because if it's like every time there's a deadline, that's when like a whole bunch of submissions we get some notoriety. But the only way anyone's going to know about these new festivals if I market it myself. They're not going to put it on their platform. They want to see pictures, and it needs to be a live event with people, so that they're being understanding. But at the same time, if I had to put my finger on it, if I was a betting person, I'd say come April, next NovaFest, it may be identical to what we're looking at now, just because of, not getting political, but that's just where the wind is blowing at the moment. 2 years from now, who knows? But a hybrid.
Film Freeway sounds like it's dealing with you the same way AFM deals with producer sales agents, and
they're nudging that way. They were, well, Without a Box was definitely on par. Well, that's IMDb. They're on par. Amazon. Yeah. They're on par.
Fernando, let me ask you a question. So is this now seminar or panel? Is it recorded somewhere? You can send people in and look at it later, right? Or
yes. Yes. What we've done, as soon as you go on stage, everything is recorded. When you're on stage right here in this format, if you're sitting inside, or I believe the conversations you have around the coffee tables, what have you, I don't think those are recorded. I haven't seen any device, and I wasn't told. I was just told that in this format, when you're on stage, you're brought on stage, that yes, all of this is being recorded. That's the idea too. I wanted to be able to share this.
It might be interesting for other, participants who didn't make it today. They might want to go back and look at it another time.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's a multitude of things going on, but yeah, that was a plan as well. Got to figure out what the best format is. Again, everything's brand new. I'm trying to stay ahead of the curve, as I've mentioned a couple times to some people, just this whole village, not knocking other sites, but opposed to other festivals, it's just like going on Netflix or Amazon and you get hit with a catalog with menus and categories. I thought this was a little bit, again, trying to get ahead of the curve. It works with my overall plan with all the different festivals, but you've got a village, you go to buildings, and again, it's a kind of weird version. I told you before this, I ran to the Capitol Film Market building to see if there's anybody there. Tom was. I told him to come over to this building to, this, again, the technology. You can't.
Yeah, I was in the wrong building last night for a while. So, but yeah, once you get used to it, like yesterday I was totally confused, and today I'm totally like, I get it. You catch on quick, which is good.
Yeah, and I'm
friendly.
I'm a visual guy too, so I didn't. It's almost a video game kind of thing. So I like that aspect, but just because of the technology, like with your screening last night, it couldn't be in the same theater that the regular 7 to 9 screening was on. Mark, it had to be in a different theater. Luckily, I've got 10 others.
Right.
On my little pretend world. But so this building itself is set up for, it's just sort of a place to go. I'm pretty sure we can do this in the Capitol Film Market building, but this is just like the hub when we want to do a forum situation.
Yeah.
It would be nice if we could sit in the theater and just like we watch your screening and then open up. I just click on something, and then we can get this forum going, opposed to people looking, like they're walking around Disney for a particular amusement park ride. But anyway.
Or if they set it up in a way that as soon as the screening is done, it automatically has a click here to automatically take you to where that is. Like, you know what I mean? Like a customizable.
No, I do.
Like that.
I had to cut and produce a 30-second instructional video like on the fly. Lucky I'm a post guy. I can do that. But yeah, that's why the award ceremony was coming in late. Anyway, so anything from that to you can't buy multiple ticket sales. It's one email address per purchase, per pass. So if you want to come in, you got a party of 10, 15, 50 people, you'd have to go in and make 50 separate, with one email address, you'd have to make separate purchases. They're working on it, but so it's still obviously still wild, wild west, and trying to stay ahead of the curve. I'll keep saying that. So
far so good.
Let me know. But I'll give you everybody 7 minutes back of your time, unless anybody has any questions out there.
Well, except for the emails, I don't have any questions. Just to keep in touch. Yeah.
Okay, was that a question, or you're making a?
No, it's a last comment as apart from I would love to have your email so that I can send you.
You can, if it's okay with you fellas, I can facilitate that.
That's fine, yeah. I mean, it's also on our website.
Right.
If you know both our companies, Lundmark Studios and Odyssey.
Is there a place to chat in here?
There's always a contact us page on our websites too, because we do want to meet people. We're not trying to avoid people.
Right.
Is there a place you can just like enter an email address? That
you have a side panel where it says participants?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that's the chat box. Sure, I can just type it right there.
There should be a little balloon. You can chat. You can send a message. You're giving the grumpy old "I hate technology" man face, Mark. But yeah, there should be a window on the side that says "Chat Participants Q&A."
Yeah.
I haven't even touched the Q&A yet. Maybe somebody asked me a question.
This is a separate thing for Q&A.
I don't know. I'm learning.
Erik, you see that?
Let me check. Oh yeah.
So snap a photo of that or something, and
thank you so much, man.
That's how you can email me.
If there's any,
that's my company website.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
Did you
unless
type
there's
it in the general chat, I only saw the one I typed in there.
Oh, I typed directly to him.
Oh, I see. Okay, but do you see my?
For both, yeah. I for both. Thank you guys. Wow, awesome.
Yeah. So there's option director general chat. Again, these gentlemen, maybe 2 or 3 more, may or may not be at the market. It's pretty fluid. There aren't enough people to legitimize them.
Yeah. I'll pop in and out. I'm gonna go have a cigar right now, though.
Yeah.
Nice.
Thank you for your time.
All right.
Okay. Well, let's get to the awards. You guys
Bye,
have
Erik. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
I'd wave a little flag if I had one.
Oh yeah, thanks.
Yeah, well done.
Thank you.
Hey, research.
All right, guys. Talk later.
Thank you. Thank you all so much. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.